Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy TL with another inspirational moment. Today's topic is the 5 keys to thrive during a pandemic. Now, I know that there is a lot of fear, there's a lot of uncertainty, and our future right now with this pandemic. We're dealing with a very serious situation, a crisis. And as you know, it's required everything to shut down. So the fear, anxiety, the level of uncertainty, frustration, it's real. Everybody's experiencing it. Some people are experiencing depression. Some people are experiencing grief. Some people are actually dealing with the virus itself. So in order to thrive in a situation like this, I believe there's 5 important keys, if you will, to help you thrive during a pandemic. Now, just because everything outside shut down for the most part doesn't mean that everything inside has to shut down. And you now is more of a time than ever to really sit down and get focused and center yourself. So I put together these 5 keys that have helped me through this process that I wanted to share with you. So the first thing is to start paying attention to the inner voice. It's the conversation that you're having with yourself through this process. Now, you may be dealing with fear, you may be dealing with anxiety, whatever it is, it's probably causing you to really think a lot about what could happen, what could go wrong. So one of the problems with fear is that it's a mental projection, right? We look at a situation and we examine it, we look at it, analyze it, and think of what are the possible worst case scenarios. It's our way of preparing for it, right? We feel that if we prepare for it, we'll be able to handle it when it happens. Well, the problem with that is that we cause our own self-suffering. The reason why is because when we're afraid of something and we're thinking about this fear and it starts to take over our mind and it takes over our emotions, we are putting ourselves in some future possible case scenario. But when you stop and take a moment, you realize that this is just a mental construct. This is just something that's going on. It's playing out a story in your mind and your thinking. And you have to step back and listen to what it's saying. This brings me to the second key. So the first key was start paying attention to that inner voice, all the negative conversation that's going on. The second key is you have to start interrupting the story, the negative story and fears that you continue to tell yourself. Yes, this situation is frightful. Yes, there are some unknowns, there's some uncertainties that we are all experiencing. So you're not alone in this. But to stop and pay attention to the inner voice and what it's saying, and then to realize that a lot of this negative talk is not serving you well, is the start to your freedom. This is where you emancipate yourself from the fearful thinking. You become aware that it's there. So now you can acknowledge that it's there. And now acknowledge that, yes, this is something that is going on, but it's out of my control. So now you're presented with the choice, and you can choose to start changing this automatic thought by implementing a new behavior or new pattern of thinking. So when you become aware of your fear and the inner voice that's going on inside, and you begin to tackle and interrupt negative thinking, you now become the driver, right? Because before it was an automatic response. Our fears are based off of some past experience or worst case scenario. And we stop that pattern of thinking because some of us don't even realize that we're actually thinking, that thinking happens to us. So we think that it's voluntary, and thinking and fear is involuntary. It just happens. So we have to separate what's happening in our mind and regain our control by acknowledging that it's happening and that we can choose to focus on something else. Now, you won't be able to just stop thinking, but you can redirect your attention and focus on something else, something more positive, something that's more empowering. Because right now in the moment, if you're fearing something, if you stop and take a deep breath, and you pay attention to the inner energy field of your body, the sensation that you feel running through your hands, your arms, your lungs as you're breathing, it takes you out of that fearful thought. And it brings you to this realization that everything is okay right here in this moment. It's your thinking that produces emotions and these physiological responses like racing thoughts, hyperventilating or shallow breathing, nervous gestures and movements and habits, right? So we can start reinventing the wheel, if you will, by interrupting these negative patterns. So one of the things that I really suggest, and this is the third key for thriving during a pandemic, is to let go of the concept that you have to trade time for money. The biggest misconception for the majority in general is we have that employee mindset that we have to put in a certain amount of hours in exchange for money. As you're going through this transition, now is a great time to start looking at what are the other possibilities of what can happen, what could come out of this. Whenever there's something bad, there's always something good that can come from it. So now we can start putting our focus and time into creating something that is more positive, that serves a purpose, that solves a problem for people. And then that moves us out of the mindset of trading time for money into the realm or mindset of creating solutions to problem in exchange for value. You see, that's a shift. That's a different way of approaching things. And with this new climate that we're entering, there are new opportunities for working virtually and providing services and products online, which has been around for a long time, but now we can see more of a transition and need to go that direction. So whatever it is that you're really talented at, that you have a skill for, now is a great time to really focus in on that talent, that skill set, that thing that you love to do, and work on ways to create solutions to problems in exchange for value. The fourth key to thrive during this pandemic is to create a service or product that you love doing and getting paid for it. As you go through and you develop a strategy and you work on fine-tuning your craft, spend more time really developing that. Give yourself a window. You work 8 hours for your employer, work 8 hours for yourself, minimum, right? As an entrepreneur, it's 24/7, but you got to start off somewhere. And if you're going to put all that time and energy into worrying and to being afraid of what's going on, or you spend all your time trading time for money at your job, now is a great time with the stay-at-home orders and self-quarantines, is a great time to focus in on you and what you love to do and fine-tune that craft that you love. The last key, and this is the fifth key to thrive during a pandemic, is to use this time to focus, to get centered, and to really find your peace. Meditation is a great tool. Deep breathing exercises will help calm your nervous system. It'll help slow down your thinking, and it'll help you become more focused and be able to center and concentrate more on your goals and your skills and developing those skills. So spend time relaxing, doing things that really bring you peace, and go back to the drawing board and work on the things that really bring you happiness, that bring you joy. And I promise, if you practice these things and you really apply yourself, there's no reason why you won't come out of this pandemic thriving at the top of your game. So that's the goal. The 5 keys to thrive during a pandemic. Take this video, rewind it, listen to it, write it down. So I want you to actually write down 5 goals that you are going to accomplish during this pandemic, that are going to elevate you, that are going to lift you up spiritually, emotionally, and also financially. Now is a great time to do all of this stuff. So no excuses. These are the 5 keys to thrive during a pandemic. I'm Thomas Lynch, also known as TL, and this is your inspirational moment.